Hi guys, Keith Arkberg Farms, and it has been a very busy week on the farm. Last week I was on cruise control, now I'm playing catch up, which at the end of that last video I said I would. So I have been trellising, and trellising some more. So let me show you. And this one I'm not too sure about. But first, arkbergfarms.com, scroll down the bottom, digital tools and training, bunch of cool stuff there. We've got our greenhouse side openers there. We also have a bunch of cool spreadsheets and other stuff. And also you can sign up for consulting there as well. The live Q&A will be this Thursday, not last Thursday. I had to move it, had some conflicts. But hey, I hope to see you all later on tonight. So everything was going great, nice cruise control, and then I come in the tomato house and start finding my tomatoes starting to lay over, which means that's time. I gotta act now. Started working on this trellis earlier this week. I had all the trellis lines up. This is just in the high tunnel. I just have a single piece of thicker electric fence line running from end to end. Board down the end is hooked to, board down at the other end is hooked to as well. I did wrap it around some of the purlins in here, these bottom pieces. I don't think that's necessary because the one above me here that I've ran off of before really doesn't matter. In here with the tomatoes, we use tomahawks, so you can see up there. I did a great video once on how to wind those. Look it up. It's a like a little wood piece. You put them in and you just turn on the power drill, you chuck it into it and just kind of wrap them up. Very convenient. At least with my greenhouse tomatoes here, we do primarily cherries in here. So I just put one tomato clip, there it is, down there on the bottom, and then we just twist it the rest of the way up. These are all cherry tomatoes, so we prune off all the suckers, take them up. There really ain't much to it. Main thing is you got to keep up on it. Usually when they get about as tall as me is when we stop keeping up on it and they just kind of go wild, and I'll end up coming through here with the hedge clippers and trimming them off, because by that time we're pretty much done with the production part and we're just trying to push it a little bit further. So these are all pretty simple. I don't even really do lean and lower anymore. I really don't find it necessary for the scale and production, and I'm not heating this greenhouse, so these didn't even go in until, I think I got them in right before the 1st of May. So our last frost is the 20th for perspective. So about a week later is when I actually put these in the ground. But as you can see behind me, they're all looking pretty good. Growing good. I did interplant or intercrop. So I had spinach in this row, I had radishes in this row, and then over here I actually had lettuce. The best I found so far is a spinach intercrop. Holds the moisture in the soil great. Radishes came out a little bit earlier. The plants are a little bit smaller. These ones got bigger quicker. The lettuce interplant would have probably worked great because it was leaf lettuce. It was one of the all-star mixes, except for the fact that I didn't have the need for it because my other high tunnel's full of leaf lettuce, and nobody likes that kind. They all like that kind, so it didn't really get harvested much, and I ended up cropping it all out. As soon as I did, literally a day later, which is today, the tomato plants started falling down, but I'll show you that here later, what I did, and try to work on those. Those are actually my slicer tomatoes. Now we're coming down to the cucumber house itself. Same thing. I've got thick gauge electric fence wire up top. I actually have it supported by pieces of chain. This is just double loop chain. I'm not sure what the gauge is, but it works pretty good. It's got a single self-driller screw right there with the hex head on it. And then I didn't have any more lumber when I was building this out, so I used a piece of electrician track on the end. Really expensive. Not necessary. The only reason I put that up there is because that's what I had, and it's also pretty convenient to tie through. If you don't have that laying around, I would not really advise buying it. But yeah, it's just tensioned at both ends, and then we've got the lines running down from each side. About the most difficult part of building this is you've got to cut all of these chains, and this is one size, this is another size, and because this hoop's uneven, this is another size, and this is another size. This run right here, I actually did not realize I didn't have in here, because last season I had my cherry tomatoes in this bed right here, and then behind me I did the Florida Weave slicer tomatoes. So I never had the trellis built. This greenhouse went up in its current fashion at the end of last season, or the beginning of last season. So from here we just go through, we tie a single line up top, and then we go down to the base of the cucumber here, and we actually just put one stake at the bottom. We tie a loop, push the stake into the ground, and then we just twist it around. With our cucumbers anyways, we do not go through and do any heavy trimming. Not initially. I find we get a lot of production down towards the bottom. Once they start getting up to my height here, when they're really rocking, all of those runners down the bottom start getting in the way, and that's when I start cutting them off. But I don't go through and cut them back like people actually trim cucumbers. I just trim them back, so basically I'm not walking on them. That's my biggest thing. Found out a really good way to make a whole bunch of strings like this, because these are all, I don't know, almost 9 foot long. And here's something I shot the other day to throw out there on Facebook, but let me show you. Hi guys, Keith Arkenberg Farms. Not sure if anybody's ever thought about this for making trellises for the cucumber house. I need single lines all the same height. So what I did is I set up a nail here, and then right up here, wound from here over, and then 12 more loops for 25. I tied the whole thing together about a foot from the end. Then I cut the bottom grouping, and then the top grouping. And then just like that, I have groupings of 25 lines, all the same. So that's pretty cool. You can see it when I walked in here in the chair. Those are the bundles I have left. I've only got roughly a third of my cucumbers up. I've got to get more because they're doing the same exact thing as the tomatoes do. They come down here and then they fall over. So when they fall over, they get a bend on them, and then they start shooting out a lot more runners. I want to get them up now, because if I wait too long, they become really difficult to twist. And that's why this has become a really urgent thing with me right now. So this is basically what I've been doing all week long, is running trellis lines. I didn't account for this because one of our team members in all the previous years, about the past 3 years now, has ran all these lines for me. So I did not realize exactly how long it takes to do all of this. Got a kicking row of zucchini behind me. Got green zucchinis. I actually have yellow zucchinis. I found yellow zucchini seed this year, and they are cranking right now. It's really hard to show you, but we've got ones almost the size of my hand. So hopefully I can pull my first harvest this weekend. If not, next weekend I will have more zucchinis than I know what to do with, and that's when making them into noodles will come in great. So let's go up and see the other trellis that I'm not too sure about. I had an idea. I don't know. Let me show you. So here is quite possibly my good idea gone wrong. Like I said, I had this intercropped with direct seeded leaf lettuce. I actually planted it, and then when I put the tomatoes in, I actually just bored right through the row in the middle and dropped the tomatoes in. So what happened here was I took that out, and then I found out that they was actually kind of supporting the tomatoes. So I kept walking out here, and I kept finding them where they had fallen over. So what I actually had to do here was just temporarily put a stake in the ground and then tie off to it. So I have it tied off right there. I'm just tying it off enough to hold it up. There's a little squash bug there. Get rid of that. And then I went through and started building this trellis. So what I did, I saw something, can't remember who it was now, somewhere on YouTube, and I flat out hate doing Florida weave. I think it's a waste of time, and by the time I get to doing it, they've grown too big, and then I'm just smushing stuff together. And we have such great light intensity, literally from horizon to horizon. That little tree line back there is all that blocks us from flat. So all my slicer tomatoes get shoulder burned real bad. So I'm trying to go back to basically a caging type method, and that's where this idea kind of came in. is I'm trying to make a cage out of a trellis. I went through, tied off to one end, and made 2 full loops. So there should be 4 pieces of line here. And then at each one of the T-posts, I actually went through and just tied it off there and then tied it off there. I did that so it stays sturdy on the T-post when it starts weighing on it. And I've got 4 lines, so that should be good. The biggest problem I'm seeing is that there is nothing to prevent this plant from moving back and forth. So if there's nothing to prevent it moving back and forth, what's to keep it from falling over this way or this way? I don't know. I'm thinking maybe on this next one I do like a diagonal from here, this post, back to that post, and that might at least put some more stuff in the middle to kind of guide them. I really don't know. It's the first time I've ever tried to do this. The other part I did is I put a line across the top, so when they start getting weighed on, it's not going to want to splay the post apart. They'll stay. The end post I did put, I don't know, just a little bit of an angle back, so once I tension on them, they'll start to pull back in. No guide wires. Did these posts every 10 foot. Again, I have no clue if this is going to work. I really hope it does, because if it does, this is so much easier, because I don't have to wait on the tomatoes. When I have free time, I can put another line, another line, another line, as long as I'm staying somewhat ahead of them. The way I'm kind of thinking of it, most tomato cages are about 6 to 8 inches in between rings. So I'm going to put a line about every 6 to 8 inches, probably lean it towards 6. So I don't know, we'll see. Basically stay tuned on that one and we'll see what happens. Who knows, if you have any ideas or you've done anything similar to this with 2 posts, or even, well, 1 post takes you back to Florida weaving, put it in the comments below. Let me know. I really want to try to develop basically a better way. The Florida weave doesn't work for me. Single line in my slicer tomatoes doesn't work for me. I gave away all my tomato cages like 4 or 5 years ago back from my personal garden, so that doesn't work for me because they're expensive. Baling twine and then fence posts that I already had laying around. So that's my plan. This will be a very interesting experiment, so we'll see. As always, that's all I've been doing all week. Trellising, trellising, and trellising. So hope y'all liked what you saw today. If you did, don't forget to like and subscribe. Thank y'all. Have a good day. Ladybug time.